This is problem 8-41 from section 8.1.2. Graph each system below and shade the solution region. Alright, so let's get some axes on here. And we should know what these graphs are going to look like in general. The inequalities makes up the shading part. So if I have y, let's pretend it says equals x squared minus 4, that's a parabola just shifted down 4 units. Okay? So I have a point here, I could figure out some other points, but next we're going to do is, based on this inequality symbol, that tells us if it's going to be a solid line or a dashed line that we connect our parabola with. Since it has the equals in the bottom, it is a greater than or equal to sign, I'm going to have a solid line that I'm using to draw the parabola, not like a dashed line. Okay. So then from there, let's test a point while we're just focusing on one at a time. So let's test the point 0, 0 for x and y. So plug it in as 0 greater than or equal to 0 squared minus 4. So 0 greater than or equal to negative 4. Yes, that is true. So I'm going to shade where 0, 0 was in terms of my parabola. It was on the inside of my parabola. Okay. So now let's look at the other one. Y is less than negative 3x plus 1. So now I have a y-intercept at 1, and my slope is negative 3. So I'm going to go down about 3 over 1. Let's go up 3 and over 1. Okay, so we have some points here. Now let's talk about, your graph should definitely look better than mine, by the way. Let's talk about, is it going to be a solid or a dashed line that connects these points? Well, since this inequality does not have an equal to underneath it, it's just less than, I cannot include the points on the line. But just notate that I want to be as close as the line I can, but not actually including the line. Okay, so we can also plug in the point 0, 0 because it's not on our line. 0 is less than negative 3 times 0 plus 1. Is 0 less than 1? Yes, that's true as well. So I'm going to shade where 0, 0 is in comparison to the dotted line, which would be all this stuff. So the solution is going to be where both of the things would cross. Okay? So that's going to be here in this purple is where they both overlap. So making sure we're doing the shading separately in order to get the final result. So the answer is not just the red and the blue. Make sure that your solution is where they overlap. Okay? So we do the same thing for this one. On part B, let's draw our axes here. Yours should be labeled. We have a line starting at 5, and its slope is 2. So I'll go up 2 over 1, kind of estimating here. 2 over 1, 2 over 1. Now, is it going to be solid or dashed based on this? Is a less than, not a less than or equal. So I'm going to dash the line. I am not allowed to equal the line. Okay. Let's plug in a point. Is 0 less than, when I plug in 0 times 2, that just gives me 0. Is 0 less than 5? Yes. So I'm going to shade where 0, 0 is compared to the line, which was right here. I thought it was 0, 0. Alright, next one is an absolute value. Okay, so what this is going to do is my graph has been moved. My graph has been moved to the left. Okay, so this is really, pretend it's like x minus h with the absolute value there, right? So my h value would be negative 1, so it's shifted to the left 1. So here's where I'm going to start, and then it goes up from there. And am I going to have a solid or dashed line? I'll have a solid line, so it's going to look like that. Okay, and I need to plug in a point. So is 0 greater than or equal to the absolute value of 1, basically? Is 0 bigger than 1? No, that is not true. So I'm going to shade where 0, 0 is not. Okay, so that's all of this. So where they both overlap is a very skinny area of right here. Right in between there is where they both overlap. Okay? So make sure you can graph these just like regular equations. If my graph was a little better, you'd probably see it a little bit better. But graph them like equations, then the inequality tells you is it solid or dashed line to connect the points, and it tells you where to shade once you plug in a point. Test a point, plug in 0, 0. If your line or your parabola goes through 0, 0, you cannot use that point. So you'd want to pick a different one. But in this case, 0, 0 can work for our test point.